and then roll call.
I call the meeting to order. Roll call. Ms. Ronco, please. Roll
Ms.
call.
Bailey? Here. Ms. Brady? Here. Ms. Coleman? Dr. Davis? Dr. Henderson?
Here.
Ms. Lawson? Here. Ms. Calvert? Ms. Merrick? Mr. Payne? Mr. Powell?
Here.
You have 5 present, which is not a quorum. So you need to motion to go into executive committee. A motion. A second. Go ahead. Everybody okay with the executive committee? That was
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Next, we'll go into introduction announcements.
We don't have any that I know.
Introduction announcements.
We could do one. Terry, were you gonna cover the START program for 1%? Were you all gonna cover the Good Housekeeping Award and the 529? It was the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That was given to 529 programs. So of course, that's a big darn deal. And so they will, marketing will talk more about how they are promoting 529s, but I think that's an announcement where they'll start meeting with, because that's a great thing. But that's it.
Next, we'll go into the minutes. Motion to approve minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Public comment?
Andrew, do we have any public comment?
No comments.
No comments. All right, program updates. Good morning.
Notice the numbers up here for the end of July. In addition to these numbers, I wanted to mention for July of 2022 compared to July of 2023, START programs processed $4.7 billion in additional disbursements. And that was done with the existing staff that we currently have. In response to press release promoting START program by CASC, I conducted a phone interview with Jeff Palermo of Louisiana Radio Network concerning START this week. The interview was to be aired on their 45 statewide radio stations partners this week. I'm not sure if any of you heard it, but we were excited for that promotion. Also, in promotion of LOSFA 2.0, START programs have been able to refer to able owners to student engagement for assistance that START programs does not have the expertise to assist. So we were very excited to be able to do that. In the past, we have not been able to offer that assistance to them when they've expressed that they have a need that we cannot meet. So we're very excited. Anyone have any questions? Big shout out to your team. That was great work. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next, access success in 2 days. Violence should be something. It's like.
Good morning. So continuing on with virtual sessions, of course, we started the
in March 2020 with the onset of COVID, but they've been a benefit to our students and our parents. And we continue with virtual office hour sessions. And today, we've done a total of 2,575 virtual office hour sessions. And as far as virtual events are concerned, again, even though we are mostly out of the COVID phase, we have done a total of 812 virtual events to date. Lots and lots of professional development. A lot of the professional development that you'll see is NKN professional development. We do have some scattered throughout Signalvine, Hootsuite, but next slide. You'll see that the bulk of it is NKN, and this is because CAS team members have started on their certified advisor training. And so I think it's 21 or 22 courses that make up the certified advisor badge. So that's why we see so many NKN trainings up there, which NKN trainings are always really phenomenal. So we tend to take a lot of NKN trainings.
Does everybody know what NCAN stands for? That's National College Attainment Network. LOSFA is a member organization, which means that the certified badge of advising badge, that's a national standard that our folks are attaining, and those professional development and those badges are included in our membership. So this is us taking advantage, and our team members taking advantage of resources that are available to them for them to be able to meet a national standard.
And then also you'll see that there are some Leo courses up there as well, stress management, etiquette, etc. And then also U.S. Department of Education has done some trainings on the Better FAFSA. I think everyone probably knows that in December, the 24-25 Better FAFSA, which is going to be a pretty much completely overhauled FAFSA, will be available. And so we have done a lot of professional development in that area just to make sure everybody is kind of ready, as ready as can be to hit the ground running for December for the kids. And as far as FAFSA efforts are concerned, myself and Ms. Barry Bailey met with Nebraska's FAFSA work group. Of course, Louisiana is viewed as a leader in the universal FAFSA round. And so a lot of states reach out to us with questions about our efforts, how we got started, etc. And so Nebraska was one of those groups that reached out to us. And so we had the opportunity to meet with them. And so they also adopted universal FAFSA, which now means that we're a total of 12 states. So we had a great opportunity to chat with them, give them some tips about implementation on our end, data tracking, and some of the engagement strategies that we use as we do outreach across the state. FAFSA completion events. And then also, Florida College Access Network, FCAN, also invited Louisiana to participate in a webinar that was done earlier in August, I believe. And this again was on the universal FAFSA. And so we had the opportunity to talk about our experience here in Louisiana. And then also we were joined by Alabama and I believe Indiana.
Governor DeSantis, was he there? No. Too soon.
Yep. Articulation, of course, articulation kicks off our outreach season. This is where there are states split up into 6 different regions. And so these are workshops that are geared toward high school counselors. And so they go basically to get any updates for that particular region, and the post-secondary institutions are there with their swag, as Christy said. Not our lady, Prairie View had the cups, but of course, ULM had some really good cookies. So, but at articulation, I did the southern leg, and then Scott Burke, one of our public information officers, did the northern leg of articulation. And so we provided updates, pretty much any legislative updates for the summer. We go over, there's some changes to some of the core that are coming up. And so we wanted to communicate those changes to our counselors in the state. And I can't recall if we covered this or not, but the staff here at LOSFA was able to collect school supplies. We had a little bit of a competition amongst the agency, a friendly competition, where we were able to donate more than 80 backpacks to those students at Park Forest Elementary. And so they made a really nice post on social media as well, tagging the agency, basically showing their appreciation for those supplies. And this is what the certified advisor badge looks like. One of our intake and assistance officers, Ms. Sandy Demeterchik, was the first one to complete her certified advisor badge. So we're certainly really proud of her because it's a lot of effort that goes into earning these badges, but they come with a wealth of information.
At the beginning of August, we held our first NJ Foster Promise student orientation. We had over 1,000 students logged into the Zoom, and we had 1,400 views of the streaming YouTube as well. A lot of students gave positive feedback. One of the things that they really wanted was to have more accessibility to the institutions who participate in the program. So there was a follow-up orientation that was held at 14 of the colleges that are part of the program were able to participate. And the feedback that we have for that shows that they were very pleased with that. They also said that they enjoyed getting those text messages as well. We have found that messaging students from the Superline has really increased our engagement with our NJ Foster students. And so big shout out to Rick Terrio, April Bergens, and Marcia for the work that they do, getting everything together for our orientations. And then our other SE and CAST members as well, and Brian, and Ebony was able to assist with them. And Queen Grant with LCTCS continues to be an amazing partner in what we do vote, NJ Foster, as well as participating in our student orientation and our outreach. I was able to participate in the Central Chamber of Commerce meeting that we had that focused on education, school updates. So Heidi Nettu is our partnership contact with Osher Health System. She was inviting lots over for us to present on our new comprehensive advisory services and our opportunities for partnerships with business and industry. So they were very excited. Hopefully we see some of our partners reaching out to us. We're able to develop new partnerships for this as well. And we'll continue reaching out to our Chamber of Commerce partners and utilizing the existing partners that we have in order to get more contacts. So last month was Able to Save month. So we chose this, well, we didn't choose it. We took the opportunity to take advantage of Able to Save month to promote our LA Able program through social media, through videos, and through other means, email contacts. And we're working on creating a database of providers so that we can be in continuous contact in order to showcase the availability of this program. In the past, Anna Grow has now moved over to being a comprehensive advising officer. She was our 529 outreach person. She held several in conjunction with Ms. Terry webinars on the program. And so we're really looking to grow the program. We have sort of an ambitious goal of 2,500 accounts by 2025. So fingers crossed we're able to do that. This month is College Savings Month. So we're focused on our start K-12 accounts. We also include Able in our promotions as well, just to help raise awareness. So next month I will have to report on what we were able to do there. Part of that was the press release we did that allowed us to use the radio stations. So next month I'll give an update on where we are with that. Our social media impressions. So over 100,000 impressions over the past month for 6,900 followers. So big things that were popular, Able to Save. We continue to promote our student network groups, and then we also share information out to ACT, the LA STEM Summit, and started pushing out information pertaining to the Better Facts Summit. We also got some engagement from NJ Foster Promise orientation as well. So Instagram, this is a platform we continue to try to grow because this is the best platform for it to reach students that we're able to use. We did see a small bump in the number of followers that we have and the number of accounts reached from last month. So Facebook, 293 new followers. See a little bump at the beginning of the month when we start sharing things. As the year progresses and we share more programmatic information, You know, have more engagement activities, more webinar opportunities, more resources that we share, particularly as the Better FAFSA year, we'll start to see an uptick as well. And I think I'm just now X. So because we do not do the paid X account, you'll see that those accounts that are not associated with the paid version no longer are getting the impressions, the hits, engagement that you would have before. So we're actually having conversations with POR about how best to approach this platform. They do not do a paid platform or account either. So we saw an increase in followers, but our impressions continue to trend downwards just because we don't have that paid account. So,
good morning, everyone. The month of August, that second rollout of the second month of LOSFA 2.0. And so in our presentation to engagement, but kind of capture those three hallmarks that you heard us present on in August, those pillars of what possibly frames LOSFA 2.0. Starting with the comprehensive advising piece. Next slide, please. So our officers are not only providing that intensive advice that our students, parents are needing, but they also engage in outreach. And so this photo shows Summer Clark, who is a physician located in our northeast region of our state, attending an outreach in that Monroe area there. The certificate just illustrates none of our outreach efforts by Darius Spurlock, who represented LOSFA at the Louisiana Youth Challenge program. They had a college browse session there. And then I wanted to share with you guys comments that we already started receiving as the work of our CAOs, those recipients, those benefactors, our students are letting us know how effective and helpful this new role, this new functioning of LOSFA has been to them. You heard my colleague from START, Terry, make reference to her division referring students to our CAOs for that support that they did not have prior to this particular position, this particular functioning. And so the student voice at the bottom just kind of indicate how thankful they are for the services that our CAOs are giving. Next slide. The second hallmark is that of career exploration and connecting our students to post-secondary pathways. In this photo, here's just a screenshot of a meeting that we held with some administrative personnel from Office of Juvenile Justice who reached out to us to address the needs of their 5 secure care facilities that are located throughout the state. Their school counselors primarily wanted FAFSA training, but when they heard all that LOSFA had in addition to provide, we are now seeking to partner with them to engage with them more with regards to the wraparound support service, the connecting students to those post-secondary. Those students who are in secure care facilities, they are also looking to onboard once they are released into that pathway. So we're looking forward to see how this partnership continues to develop and emerge. Next. As been a staple, our student network groups resumed our monthly meetings with the fall semester in August. And so our calendar as presented here, we've already identified various presenters, but our students are not just getting connected with employers, we're connecting them with each other. You can advance the next slide. Our kickoff session involved us bringing in a licensed marriage family therapist who's no stranger to us. Last year, he kicked us off with such a dynamic presentation on the importance of mental health. And so this year's fall series launched again with the topic, "It's okay, it's not be okay," where our students were reminded of the need for self-care as they pursue their academic studies there. Again, September is suicide prevention awareness month. So our groups this month, we will make sure our students have the skills and tools they need to address their mental health there. In our kickoff sessions, all of our groups are meeting collectively, but then through the Zoom feature breakouts, we are able to allow students to get further encouragement and support with those employers, those professionals that are present in our breakout sessions. So we break out to 7 distinctive network groups into by disciplines. You see that feature there, and thus we are still meeting on that third Monday of the month at 7 o'clock. Next slide. On this slide here, still in the realm of connecting students to those career pathways, we are featuring and highlighting what is now a 2-year partnership with LHC Group. And this is our biannual partner review meeting that we have with them. We were able to do it both in a hybrid fashion. We had some of our staff that traveled, as illustrated in the photo, but we had a flurry of our directors and other positions and personnel from LOSFA to attend virtually as LEC Group gave an overview of the progress, the status of the partnership. CAS, as just today, I had opportunities to review. We have a profile that we're creating on all of our partnerships just to show the impact and the reach. Again, this particular partnership continues to evolve, and we are so elated that we're still excited about the partnership. This month, one of their staffers will be our featured presenter in our student network group, as we've seen very much very active participation from this one employer with our network groups there. Next slide.
Ms. Melvin,
Yes, yes.
before you go, not only does this allow the students to network with each other for their mental health and to find their group that's going in the same direction, they're networking with employers, they are finding out about internship opportunities, and we have students who have actually gotten hired out of these network groups through those internship opportunities, who's transferred from internships into employment. And this is the core of the model that we want to continue to expand as we're working with business and industry, such that you have relevance with your peers and you have experience with talking with people who are already in the career field that you feel like you want to be in. And you have the ability to try out match and fit through experiential learning and internships, and the ability to potentially transition into a job. LHC Group is in what, 30-some states?
38.
And now you also have an international partner. So this is the future that we feel like that if you look at LOSFA 2.0 and you looked at one thing, it all leads to this. Are you connecting students with each other to employment opportunities, to experiential learning? And are you connecting them to what lies at the end of this degree that you're saying I should be better if I get? Okay, well then that will be a job in some form or fashion. So hats off as all of our groups in CAST and FT work together to build this for students.
Definitely. I just wish to add, what I'm so excited about is just the various, let's say, sectors of employers. So LEC Group, we represent our private employer, right? The international group, Dr. Hussein make reference to is EBSCO. They're in 32 countries. They got wind of our network groups and they have been very active involved as well. But what I'm excited about is the, I say, the cross-state agency partnerships that we also are furthering through this effort. We have DEQ and possibly Department of Health wanting to access our students because they're recognizing their challenges in onboarding students coming out of their careers and their educational pathways and looking for that first employment opportunity. So I'm very excited and encouraged about what we're doing this model. Yeah, next slide. Moving over into those wraparounds, of course, that we were talking about and you heard mentioned in CAST and other initiatives of LOSFA. Pictured here is some MJ Foster Welcome Orientation. So during that time, Marsha Bearden has an opportunity to work with her partners with that MJ Foster program by having breakout sessions with students to meet with them one-on-one to further engage them and introduce the network group. We have a network group for MJ Foster recipients specifically. And so we utilize that orientation time to connect further with those students there. We also continue to do orientations directly with campuses who have invited us. Northwestern State, their nursing program, have worked us into their rotation of clinical orientations for their students each semester when they onboard new students into their program. They give us ample time to present during their sessions. And so the pattern to the right kind of just illustrate the volume of responses that we got through engaging with our students. They're up in North Louisiana, 3 campuses of that nursing program. And so we were engaging with them virtually and just asking them about their experience, and throughout their orientation, the pattern that you see to the right illustrates the level of engagement we had with those students throughout that presentation. Another avenue to onboard them to network with there.
Why does it always seem like Northwestern is featured in scholarships?
I wonder about that.
It's just,
Irresponsible.
they're responsible. They're taking advantage of these services.
Yes.
That's great.
And a shout out to LCTCS and the cleanup. I want to say that the first time we did the engagement with the adult students, there were maybe
Yes.
4
Yes.
campuses represented. So you're gonna have all these students that said they want to talk to you, and 4 show up. And then they took that to the marketing, and
Right.
that 4 turned into, was it 19?
It was large, but it was almost quite.
So again, I mean, you have them right there, they're telling you what they need, and this isn't just open to MJ Foster. This is, as you pointed out, Dr. Henderson, it's not just open to Northwestern. Any institution that wants to take advantage of encouraging students, giving them the information, and being right there with them to answer their questions. These are in the evening, because students are in class during the day and adults are working during the day. So again, another responsiveness, and it's not just open to public schools. So if charter schools wanted to be involved, they are happy, we welcome that.
And just illustrate the point further, this week I've been in dialogue with UL and their treatment program.
Which one?
We did
Which you are?
UL. ULL. I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. Been that way since yes. And so a year ago, I presented at a LASAP conference, and their TRIO program heard the presentation. They reached out a year later saying, hey, are any of our students coming to network? How can we make sure that they're there? So we're promoting the network through those TRIO programs as well. And so that I was very encouraged to receive that information from ULL. And so we're working to make sure that continue that information.
When my son started in freshman year, we took him to lunch, and they brought him a beautiful cake, white cake, and it said, welcome to UL. And I sent it back, it had a bad line yet at the bottom. There's no way I was getting my picture taken with that cake. I was never at the end of it. ULM.
Been balanced on it. I think we have another, that's not it. Next slide. Okay, and last segment here, again, Jenny has been so representative of her role as function as helping and assisting with this, but that employee aspect that she brings in the engagement there. Again, kudos, Mr. Bora, Paul from SG brought to our attention, hey, such and such is doing a watch party. What about this? With regards to the Better FAFSA presentation that was shared for college access. So on the fly, we were able to coordinate something for those personnel that were in the office on this particular day. So this is what you're seeing as results of that. Thank you, Dr. Bute, for providing the lunch for that lunch and learn session. Again, Jenny has been so creative with her strategies. She has multiple groups, multiple committees that are going on to help with plan the various agency functions that we are privileged to give our staff here, and utilizing the technology. She grasps it and tries it, and I'm just always impressed on how well she turned things around. So this should wrap up my portion of our presentation here.
Shout out to Jenny and to the staff because it's catching on. Yesterday, DASC and SE members worked with Jenny to host a potluck, a LOSFA potluck. So folks were allowed to change their detailed day, change their in-office days to come. extremely well attended. People got a chance to fellowship with each other. Newer employees got to meet more experienced employees, and just really the atmosphere in the room was just phenomenal. As that positive engagement among employees was on full display.
So that came from the start of the business.
Yes, it was a start. And then Daniel in CASC worked with Jenny in SE.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Good morning. With the Louisiana Gold Grant, our new allocation for this year is $70.4 million. So this week we expect to start running billings for colleges, as most have surpassed their 14 class, they can start looking for that. So we're all geared up and waiting for that to go on so that we can process those bills. On the John R. Justice update, basically we have 22 applicants across the 5 circuits. On the public defender side, we have 9 applicants and we're gonna give out 5 awards. And I think this week we have some awards that are just ready to go out because we have to verify information that the attorney puts on their application with actual tax returns. And especially on the public defender side, with there being a shortage of PDs across the state, it's taking them a while to submit documentation to us. What happens is once they're awarded, and this year, public defenders are getting $8,400, and prosecutors are getting $4,200, and that goes straight to the lender to reduce their total student loan indebtedness. So the funding was increased from 39,000 to 100-something thousand for this upcoming year. So that's really a big boost to that program, and we've already done the application for next year. So we don't find out until probably early spring what the award will be for the 24 year. So that's helped, and particularly with those, we've seen more and more students who are now qualifying for the public student loan forgiveness program. So for those who may not be there yet, and they can get John R. Justice, and then once their loans don't really help to reduce, and now they can go and buy a house. Next on the screen, MJ Foster. Our applicant count opened on the 1st of June. So the numbers have increased. We have 4,798 applicants. Renewal applicants, it shows at 299, and then 3,400 are eligible. It shows they're eligible. And we've paid a lot so far with proprietary schools because their class dates are rolling. And once the student meets that, so we're starting now to get more billings for the 2-year schools that have eligible programs in MJ Foster. So we've surpassed last year's total already. We're just in September. So we surpassed what we built the entire 22-23 academic year. So that's great for that program because we didn't use a majority of the $10.5 million last year. So with the rule changes for that program, where now it's just one pot of money for proprietary and the 2-year schools, there's been a big increase in that.
And the proprietary schools, I think, exceeded their cap within the first 1 or 2 cycles of billings. So that was shown to be a very effective thing for them to be able to be on equal footing with the competition for the money.
And that opens up for more of those students off of the wait list, or is it just?
Yes, it does. It does. So yes, now all the students are eligible from the same pot, whether they're going to proprietary or a 2-year school. With the Gold Youth Challenge grant program, that program was back to 2018, and they had one pot of money of $200,000 that was meant to be spent down. So we gave out $42,594 in awards. So for this fall, we have $10,150 remaining. So the students who are continuing will receive a prorated amount. And the National Guard is looking at requesting additional funds from the legislature for next year. We're still gathering the data to do a performance study on the outcome of those students who did receive the grant from its inception. But the National Guard does have a foundation which will award their new students who qualify for OU Challenge money from their foundation award for this year. And then if they get additional money next year, they will go into the challenge program. Are there any questions?
But I do have a comment about the thing we voted on last month. Like, we've had an uptake in students that are interested because the National Guard is now, speaking about that. So that was really cool. I want to report back, like now it's gotten to the students and they are, hey, I want to take the ASVAB. I want to make sure that I do all of this.
Great opportunities to serve. Questions? Thank you.
Live updates. This is basically the same information we presented last month. We ended the year about where we thought we would 10 months ago. We had a decrease in top spending of $22 million in the prior year. Of our state universities, only Southern and Southeastern showed an increase in top billings over the prior year. By next month, we should have enough money or enough information, right, to at least estimate where we will end the year. So next month should be a more fun.
And Mr. Hunt, could you clarify, because there have been some questions on, what happens to that $22.4 million? It isn't like, your mama sent you to the store with $100 and you were such an excellent shopper, you only spent 80, so you get to play with the 20. That isn't the way TOPS billing works. TOPS billings and money are dedicated to TOPS expenses. There's no admin expenses that come for LOSFA staff that operate TOPS out of TOPS. It strictly goes into us and out to the students. And this 22.4, could you explain what you will do with that?
Everything that is not spent on awards goes straight back to the state. That's the period. There's no gray area. There's nothing else that we are allowed to spend that money. So that we can't even use it to administer the program itself. It's either spent on awards or it's given back.
What typically happens to that money there? Like, is it go to, we don't.
That goes back into the general fund.
I just didn't know if it was like maybe when did like funnel to somewhere else or.
That would be
Whatever
like
they
at the division administration level is classified in a category called income not available. Meaning you can't spend it in your agency if you didn't spend it by that particular point in time, what the legislature appropriated you to do X, then it goes back to the general fund. So that's well above our.
I remember there was a program before, it was like helping college students finish, I don't remember what the word.
That's completers.
Right, so I didn't know if there was like a possibility of that going to.
No, it's federal money. And so, again, if that's not spent, that's a federal issue, right? So, and we're wrapping up that money now because the deadline is passed to expend that. So billings have been turned in. Ms. Paul and her team worked as well with the audit team to be able to wrap that up. But we just wanted you all to be educated on, no, you can't take that and go do something else with it. We cannot. We turn that money back in.
I wonder why it seems like maybe it's only a year ago that we didn't have enough money to pay, or wasn't have enough money to pay all the people.
And there's some, they're in this, and don't be afraid, I'm not going to go through all of these. This is just information. In here, you're going to see a slide on why TOPS has the acceptance rates have decreased, or why, let me say this, the big picture, why you're not spending all of the allocation. So it kind of goes on, it's more than a one-leg stool, right? You have smaller graduating classes coming into the program. Your bigger classes are exiting the program, because they spent their semester. So if you have more people leaving and finishing their award and smaller graduating classes coming in, you're going to spend less. Then we're seeing of the smaller classes coming in, you have fewer students that are meeting the academic criteria to get the award. So you have fewer in your denominator, you have a smaller proportion numerator to that smaller denominator. Then we looked at, okay, that's your graduating class of initial eligibility from high school. Let's roll over and find out lower acceptance rates, because that is still, you can't accept an award you weren't eligible for or not accept, right? So when we get into acceptance, we're seeing that, at first you would think, oh, they're all going out of state. Yes, some are going out of state, and there is a slide in here I would encourage you to look at because it breaks it down by award type. And it is substantial when you look at the differences in behavior as to whether you're awarded eligible for TOPS Tech or TOPS Opportunity Performance and Honors. Yes, some do go out of state. Then you have individuals that enroll part-time. Well, you have to be full-time to be able to get a TOPS award. Then you have individuals, particularly on the TOPS Tech side, that enroll somewhere else, like in a 4-year or in a 2-year in an academic program that is not eligible and approved for TOPS Tech, and they're paying on their own. And then you have a larger percentage of the population of TOPS Tech students that don't show up at all. They're not in the clearinghouse data. We are not seeing them in Board of Regents enrollment data. So we are now, I think, just finished crafting an updated agreement with the Workforce Commission. So we're trying to see now, did those students go to work? Because when you can begin to find that delta, then that informs policymakers on, well, maybe you should have programs that are more academic programs. Maybe you should have programs in these areas that would be eligible. You have the ability to change that. And so this, if you look in here, there are sheets there. We also have a sheet. We get this question a lot from policymakers. How much does TOPS cover? Because the misconception is, oh, you're going to get a free ride. No, you're not. When you're looking at tuition and fees back in 2016, 17, you might have been doing this is 2023. So there's a comparison to tuition and mandatory fees. And then it says at the top of that chart, this is not the cost of attendance. Then you go over to the chart that says, what does it cover compared to the cost of attendance by school? And you begin to see that buying power significantly decrease, which is what some policymakers are asking about. Well, at folks at the system at the campus level that says we're getting out competed by these states that are offering these kids full ride. So again, LOSFA doesn't lobby, we provide information, but this is objective information that says if you're taking a look at that, this is buying power available. And to keep awareness with policymakers of these, getting a full ride for a full COA is rare. I mean, you really, really rare. And so you can see just quantified. So we actually put this in the Board of Regents budget presentation as a handout before we were asked.
Yeah, I just wondered how you go from being invested to having to do that.
And that's always,
And I was wondering if maybe more people on.
you have that too. That's that decreased acceptance rate. That's why we're saying, well, where are they going? Are all of you going to work and not going? Are you all going out of state? Because that's the knee jerk of, oh, that's what's happening. And you look at that by awards. Yes.
It happens, but it doesn't happen in the rate that we would.
Yeah, but it's actually quantified here based upon National Student Clearinghouse data, Board of Regents data, and then now the only thing we don't have is workforce data. Now, we're not going to get out of state workforce data because to do that, you got to do reciprocity agreements, but that's, yeah. But in state, right, we would be able to get that and add to the story. But we are trying to do our very best with the data that said this is what the data showed. You do as with policy what you would like to do based upon, at least you have the data to make those decisions.
Or maybe people are also looking at how much money they're gonna make, how much debt they're gonna have.
Exactly
With
right.
the cost, like you're saying, because don't cover cost.
Exactly.
that, do I want to get a $20-something an hour job? When I could go find another one and I wouldn't even have $80,000 to do home. I mean, that's kind of like,
Yes.
everybody. This is just.
No.
I sound like, I got to Miss Mary Coleman. She's not here. Like, I just feel that everybody should always wants to go to college now, all want an office job. There's only so many office jobs. You're not like doctors, lawyers, all these specialties, all these little college degrees not really gonna do you. There's so many people competing for those jobs.
That's a false narrative that we allow to take root in social media. If you don't have a college degree, your chances of getting laid off during a recession go up exponentially. Your ability to maintain a job, your salary goes down precipitously. And the data is so clear cut on that we've created this false narrative about sending too many people to college. And one of the reasons we're doing that, you can see the video on Twitter. One of the guys from the Thurman group was talking about what we have got to do is raise unemployment by 40 or 50%. We've got to create an economic downfall so we can hurt these people so that they know that they're blessed to have a job. And it's this cycle that we go into when there is a labor shortage in for a lot of companies. So they start trying to do things to say, you don't have to go to college. Come here, because they know if you don't go to college, you're beholden to that employer. And you're going to have to stay for a long amount of time. So they create this narrative and keep fostering it. And this sounds very conspiratorial. It's really not. When you go to college, what you're empowered with is not just a job, but you're powered with economic self-determination, where you can decide where you want to work, what conditions you want to work. That's very empowering to individuals. In Louisiana, we have about 30% of our population with a bachelor's degree. We're ranked near the bottom of the nation. We're at number 1 in working age adults with a short-term credential beyond high school. If that was really the determinant of social health, then we would rank at the top of all of this, we rank at the bottom. Where our biggest problem is in the undereducated population. That means we can't take advantage of the future of work. My opinion, I could be wrong.
We just were saying that Ms. Malvo, I'm sure would be happy to feature you on a student networking group where they all hear you. Because that is actually, that's the main purpose behind those groups. And so you're not going to combat this until you're reaching students and connecting them with employers and connecting them with people with various levels of employment and quality of life associated with how long have you been on that education train. And then the job possibilities with those employers at the end saying, no, there is a real job, and here's a career ladder, bringing them together. And this is why we will continue to work hard to get that message directly to students. So anytime you like to speak, Ms. Malvo, would be happy.
Look at something. What I was going to say, like you said, like race towards the bottom, only 30% of the population have bachelor's degrees, which kind of picks up on my other, like, so, I mean, I have 2 bachelor's and master's, also got AC license, contractor's license, realtor's license. And I can tell you this, as an AC, I'm doing 25,000 a week profit. And so my guys were like 30 years old, making $45 an hour plus medical plus them. They're not going to get that because they don't have college degrees. It's like in Louisiana specifically, the trades, like these guys are getting out going to work offshore, driving tugboats, AC, plumbing, electrical. I'm friends with all those guys. I go to friends like houses, like we flip quite a bit a year. Like, man, the labor shortage is for us. It's sort of you're having to pay people that are in and out of halfway houses $22 an hour, like just to get an extra hand. Like, so I think we're in Louisiana. It's towards the bottom of the education, not the bottom. Like for some of these, I'm sure most of the speakers are coming. Or it's just we can get out and go to work. Plus, they got ADHD. They don't want to sit in class. They ain't good test takers. I've already done all that. So it's like sometimes it's just not a good fit. But I think like if your network is your net worth, I think all the networking and that other programming, like here's what you're actually going to do. Here's the employees that are hiring you. I think the matching fit is good because a lot of people go to college, they don't know what they want to do, and they just waste taxpayer dollars. End up nowhere anyway with a big debt.
Ms. Malvo's right back there.
Yeah, I'm all.
Everybody said, you know, that would be, I mean, when you think about the power of what you all were saying here, and you think how powerful that is to get that message directly to somebody who is hearing all that noise on social media, but needs to understand this is the real deal. And this is that person that is making this much an hour. This is what they did. This is how they got there. And I know that that benefits what you're trying to do, which is, yeah, you can say it all you want. Their parents can say it all they want. And in many instances with the technical degrees, their parents are not saying it, which means that's why you got a 23% acceptance rate of TOPS Tech. Because it's not an also ran, you know, if you're making this much. So it's like, what is that quality of life? What is that loan debt like? Let us help you bring this financial aid where you are coming out not so in debt where you can't live. Yes, there's a way to do that. And this is what you need to do to get yourself together to be able to take advantage of that. So,
Because even Tom's they tried to help that when they came out with top step. So I mean,
Yes.
plus the LTC, like the college, the technical college that does the electrician, the HVAC, that's where I'm. Like, they're all trying to address the needs for the workforce. It's not just like it's the universities, but just trying to get more people to use the money or the top stack or whatever. So you don't have to give it back.
I mean, I've told y'all about my son. He's gonna probably get mad at me one day if he ever listens to these things about him being a case study. But he was that student, like he did not want to go to college and accumulate debt. And I even begged him, even after he decided to go into plumbing, like, can you just go get a 2-year degree, like in construction management or something like that? And he did not want it. And one of the reasons he didn't want it is because he did not want to go into debt to get to school. And I mean, this was my 3.75 honors graduate student that got TOPS opportunity and still just said no, because he was, when he decided to took welding at school, and he decided that he liked to work with his hands better than he knew he's going to work with his hands, because he said from that point on, he's like, a desk situation is not, that's not what I want to do. I know that right now. I like working with my hands.
And all they get dressed up, I love the day with the regime. I'm like, man, I ain't like, you know, I mean, things kind of shifted, I think, after COVID, like, nobody goes to dry cleaners and all that stuff, like, just kind of a new wave with everything, so, you know, but in Louisiana, I mean, I know construction is a big thing around here, just in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but still need the doctor, lawyers, all the chiefs, the ITs and all that, I agree, I'm not one way or the other, I'm just bringing Louisiana up.
and what you all said is basically what the research said that we base LOSFA 2.0 on. The student is wanting you to give them multiple pathways to post-secondary attached to what's at the end of that rainbow? How much am I making? How much debt am I gonna, what aid is there? Not just you will do this. That is not this generation. And so when we see students bypassing free money because they don't want to accumulate debt, then we have to all join forces together to get quality advising out there.
So I'm listening to all of this, and I'm seeing a bigger picture here, because Dr. Henderson, you were talking about how we are like the #1 for the certifications coming out of there. Well, I can tell you where that's coming from, is because in the high schools, we're trying to push our kids to get statewide basic and advanced. Some schools are with the Jump Start program, so that when they leave, they are ready to go into the workforce. So that's a positive thing. Then I'm listening here, we're talking about the TOPS Tech, and I actually looked at those numbers a lot because my principal asked me about a few weeks ago what percentage of my students were TOPS eligible, and so there's a chart. Rhonda helped me find it. It is broken down. So I looked across the state. I think with COVID, it would have gone down. It didn't really hit with that. And like the highest number of acceptances was the second year after the FAFSA was required. Like, and that blew my mind, because you would like, okay, that went that way, and then COVID hit, but it didn't drop off until 2022, which was not in the middle of COVID. We still had the acceptance rate. So then it was like, this is my mind. I'm like, where did those kids end up? Which is why I think this is where this is coming from. But we're pushing the work keys, right? Our students will take the work keys. I get kids that are in school right now that call back, hey, do you have my work keys? Because they're making me take this class in my class that go to a 2-year, and the workforce is asking for it, but it's there, but it's not connecting together yet. And so I feel like what's happening, what I'm seeing, I know we have amazing 2-year colleges and proprietary schools, but our students don't know that information. It's not connected yet. And it's hard to get them to connect, even on a school level. Like, I mean, we tried to do this before, but the timing with the bell schedules and what classes they're in, that can't work out yet. But I'm watching this, like, we have a lot of students that are eligible. A, they don't know that they're eligible. B, they just take, like, if we're pushing the work keys because the ACT scores are going down and our Jump Start students get to take it, the state will pay for them to take the work keys test one time. And so they can take it again, and then the districts can choose to pay it again, or the students can pay by themselves. And if they need a bronze, I mean, they need a silver, they get bronze, but they need a silver. Then they're eligible for Tops Tech. But as far as us getting that information to them in a broader way, it hasn't happened yet. And I feel like as that happens more, like, yes, this is the generation that's going to do the 2-year colleges, because that's what they want. They see how they can make money. There's a labor shortage, they're pushing for this, but they don't know they can get the education real fast. I mean, there are some programs that are 6 months. There's a scaffolding program that they had in Greensburg, and it was 8 weeks. I mean, it doesn't happen right now because they couldn't fund the people, but it was 4 like businesses that came together and created it for our students to be able to do that a few years ago. I mean, I don't know what happened with it. I mean, maybe it'll come back, but that kind of thing. I mean, you can get this training and education, and I'm pretty sure Tops Tech covers it from what I understood in 6 to 18 months. That is this generation. And then you got 4 years. I got those kids that are eager right now to fill out their FAFSAs. I mean, we started last week on FAFSA IDs. I have 10 left. Like, all of my students are ready to do it because we're preparing for it, because we know it's going to be a nightmare in December. But I have those kids that are geared, like they know where they're going, they know what they want to do. I have the other students. So like with LOSFA 2.0, and I've been listening, like I feel like there's a greater communication push of like how to get this out, and then with the network groups, that is helping too. But we're having to shift our thought process for how we were when we were this age, and we just hadn't gotten it yet, but I feel like we're getting there. And so like, I appreciate the work they are doing, but I'm watching these numbers, and just like you are, like, what's going on here? Like, how is this? Because the math isn't that thing. Like, the numbers are not where, and there's something that's off, but I hadn't figured it out. But I do notice it with my students. Like, you're eligible, and I can tell you're eligible, but that doesn't, the debt, I mean, Tops Tech, if they go local and they don't stay on a campus, it could potentially pay for everything for them, depending on how it is. A couple $100 a year, a couple hundred versus 20,000, big difference. And then
Here's the problem. Skills obsolescence now is 3.5 years. You learn a skill that's obsolete in 3.5 years. And what we failed in Louisiana is holistic education. 13th century, people would gather on the banks of the Seine River in Paris to listen to lectures on philosophy, on logic, on math, on science, because they knew that broad education was the pathway to social mobility. And we don't talk about that in Louisiana. And so that's the absolute key. Now, we haven't done it well as educators because we fell into this trap that education is a pathway to a job, and not that it was a pathway to self-empowerment. So we've got a core competency document for our system that every degree that you graduated, whether it's in dance theater or if it's in cybersecurity, you're going to have these 5 core competencies. They're the 5 core competencies that have been developed in partnership with employers and people around the country that are going to empower you regardless of what the future holds. Because I promise you, the future of work, every task that is predictable and repetitive will be automated. And if your skill set is knowing what to do and not how to think, you're obsolete. And so we've got to figure out how to balance it, take advantage of the immediate opportunities of today, but prepare our people for 10 to 20 years down the line. Because we've always been myopic in Louisiana. I mean, going back 150 years, 200 years, got to think longer term. We've got to prepare our folks with both the skills and the competencies that are going to empower them.
I think that's what Ron was saying about our son, at least go to a 2-year construction management. Right. I find electricians that make $5 million a year, but they don't really know how to do QuickBooks. They don't know how to do their accounting. They don't know how to read balance sheets. They don't know how to read emails. And so I've actually helped a lot of them with that. Maybe, but like, everybody needs, exactly what you said. Everybody needs knowledge. I'm not saying we're really even like no basics. So you get accounting terms and things like that, because everything leads to money. Everybody has balance sheets and profit and loss and everything. So no, I agree. It's just yeah, you're right.
That makes a lot of sense, because as I'm sitting here today, like, I got the email yesterday about why apply, right? And I thought, why apply? Like, I really did think about this last night, and this is what I came up with, was to be a voice for the ever how many students in Louisiana. But that is not why I went to ULM. I went to ULM to be a pharmacist. As you can see, that is not what I'm doing now. But like, I learned how to be able to deal with the adversity, and when obstacles came up, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then I worked in the Northeast Louisiana region where there are very limited resources. How do you get this? How can you check your email? Go to the library, like learning different things, because it was critical thinking of, I'm in this situation, I've got to solve this problem. Not, ultimately fix this.
I think it's about one of our problems. self-reflective awareness, when you come to terms with your own cognitive limitations. You don't have all the information you need to solve a problem. How important is that when you've got this amplifier in your ear or in your eyesight at all times, which is it's an echo chamber, telling you everything you want to believe to be true. Because the things that you don't want to believe to be true, just dismiss them, swipe them. And so these are the competencies within your command report. And it takes all of what we're talking about. I mean, that's right. Good stuff.
It's supposed to make you a well-rounded individual. That's what college is supposed to do. So they give you all those courses you don't need.
That's right.
I make you a well-rounded individual. So, I mean, and problem solving, I think you critical thinking.
I mean, even that history class, because history was a smaller subject, because it didn't mean anything, but then when I went out of the country and I stood places, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Now when we went to DC for this better FAFSA training, I'm like, yes, and so this is going in, and we went to all these places and it made sense, but I took the class. It stuck with me, but I needed it for later, not for right now.
That's right.
I think we have covered this. You all can look at it, if you have any questions, we will present next Tuesday to the Board of Regents, and we will have additional handouts that are ancillary information about our team has done. They continue to amaze me. They have done an amazing job on an MJ Foster handout that gives statistics. They have done an amazing job. Next, there was one that Madison's done, Madison and Allen, that I started to review it, then we had another phone call. But just putting together the information, we're trying to get into policymakers that this is going to take everybody working together collectively, help me, help you, to help students. So we will make sure that once those handouts are developed, that you get those as well. So Wanda will send those out. They should be developed by the end of this week or completed by the end of this week. And it shows LOSFA 2.0 in action so that people don't think it's something we're still thinking about. It's like it's something we're doing all the time.
And I'll also send you the electronic version of the handout today.
All right, so we can go.
I think that's the last draft.
You can move on. It's Angel's. Oh, Andrew, you can move forward to new business. Thanks, Andrew.
Reinstate COVID-19 as an objective circumstances for exception. Consider rulemaking to reinstate COVID-19 as an objective circumstance for which students may request an exception to the continuous enrollment, full-time and earn annual hour requirements for the 23-24 academic year. Second.
The students thank you and we thank you.
First.
Okay, that's right.
Next is the COPS home study exceptions. Consider requests for exceptions to the student statutory provision that requires a student to begin a home study program no later than the conclusion of the 10th grade. Questions? If not, we will get a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
Mary Ann would be so proud of you.
I'm gonna drive here once. New business, TOPS and MJ Foster exceptions. Consider the attached request for exceptions to the TOPS regulatory provisions that require students to remain continuously enrolled and to earn the annual credit hours during the academic year, and to the MJ Foster requirement that a student maintain continuous enrollment in school. So, any questions? Comments? If not, we're gonna get a motion to approve.
Dr. Anderson who made the motion.
And I second.
I guess it's a motion to dismiss.
Adjournment, yeah. Next meeting will be Wednesday, October 25th.
I'll say
Thank you.
Thank you all. This was amazing discussion, and you all are amazing. We are really, really, truly blessed and fortunate at LOSFA Programs to have an advisory board that